and welcome to my latest Life in Synergy studio. You may have visited one of my brick and mortar studios at some point in Boston, but this is my newest studio. This is my sacred space studio. This is the place where I come to work on myself. And then I connect with my private clients through this very same system all over the world, so that each of them are creating their sacred space. And now I wanted to welcome you as you join with people from all over the earth to bring yourself to the next level, to unlock your superpower, your consciousness in this conscious awakening masterclass. So let's talk about what we're going to go over in these next 2 weeks that we have together. We're going to unlock your unique superpower, your consciousness. We're going to explore your pyramid of being and define what it means to live the exalted life, this symbol of the exalted life, and how to go about that in our lives. We're going to understand the aspects of the 3 roles of our being: our consciousness, our mind, and our body. And we're going to see our consciousness in real time so that we can experience it separate from our mind, so that then we have a direction to grow our unique person and our unique gifts on this earth. We're going to explore the difference between living the self-first life versus the selfish or selfless life, and actually understand that selfish and selfless are the same thing. They're both living in the sum zero negative space instead of the +1 self-first life, where we bring love and peace and joy to ourselves first and then spread it to the world around us. Then we're going to discover the 9 layers of our consciousness. And how they map to both our body, our mind, and our consciousness. So we have all of these different layers to explore, and how that we could use them to go on our unique journey so that we can express our reason for being here, our unique purpose in life. You know, there are almost 8 billion people on the earth, but there's only one you. And you're here for a unique reason. You cannot know that reason until you unlock your conscious being, until you unlock this superpower that is uniquely you. And finally, we're going to understand how we can use this knowledge to reshape our world and then the world around us. So where to begin? Let's begin with just our pyramid of being. You know, as you look throughout the entire ancient world, all of the ancient civilizations were building pyramid, because pyramid is the symbol of the exalted life. This is the symbol of being able to rule your life and then command the lives around you. So this is something that we've always known instinctively as humans. Thousands of years ago, we understood that living in our pyramid of being would bring our most exalted life. But these secrets were held for just a select few. Through this 2-week class, we're going to unlock these secrets for all of us, so that each of us is living in our most exalted life, so that we are living the conscious life, that we are adding that superpower to our being so that we could positively affect our lives and then the world around us. How we could live the life in synergy, where we are in synergy within ourselves, consciousness to mind, consciousness to body, and then consciousness to the world around us so that we're all working together to create our best life and our best world. So that you're in synergy with yourself and the world around you. And this is going to lead to a life of personal peace, love, fulfillment, and endless support. Do you feel like you have to go it alone all the time? That you're holding the world up, but no one's holding you up? I understand. And we're going to discuss in today's lesson why that is. But first, we have to understand if the pyramid is you, then what is the pyramid doing? And the product of your pyramid is creation. This is what makes us unique as humans. We are always creating. If you look out your window right now, you're going to see all of the things that have been created by humans. If I look out my window right now, I see a deck, I see a rug, I see a barbecue. These were all things that were created by humans. If you look down at your phone or on your phone, if you look at the internet, this is all human creation. We are constantly creating. That is the product of our pyramid of being. So we are the pyramid. Creation is what we produce. So we're constantly creating all different kinds of things. Objects, societies, governments, art, music. It goes on and on and on. So already you've discovered a little bit about yourself. You are living the pyramid of being in a constant state of creation. But what are you really creating? How are you spending your time and creative energy? Do you wake up each day? Today, if I just work a little bit harder. So we go like this. Today, if I'm just perfect, I'm gonna work a little bit harder. We try to balance on that point. Oh. Today, if I was just more perfect, if I said the perfect thing, if I wore the perfect outfit, if I was perfect towards my family, friends, boyfriend. Today, if I could only make people like me more. Today, if I could only, say the right thing at work. Today, if I could only make my friends like me more. Today, if I could only make my spouse like me more. Today, if I could only make my parents like me more. Today, if I could only make my kids like me more. Does this sound like you? Today, if I can fix the problem that I have by thinking about it, by worrying about it, by agonizing about it. And every single time we do this today, if I just make my friends happy, my family happy, my boss happy, my husband happy. Today, if I could do more for my friends, more for my family, more for my boss, more from what everybody expects of me. Today, if I could just win this deal, win this moment, win this argument, win this fight. If I could just win. Today, if I say the right thing. Today, if I do the right thing. Today, if I. But it feels like every day we're waking up with this huge to-do list in our head, but we're just waiting for the next crash to happen. Why is that? What are we actually creating? Why does it feel like our world, like we have to hold it up? Like we have to balance the world on our shoulders? Or wait for it to crash down around us? What have we been doing with our creative energy? I'll tell you what you've been creating. You have been creating Fantasy Disaster Island. We do it in our mind first, and then it manifests in our life. This is the power that you have, the power of creation. So then when you manifest Disaster Fantasy Island, which is an entire world that you have to create every single day, you end up in the endless pattern of the same unfulfilling job, the same negative relationship, always feeling unsupported, filled with fear instead of love of yourself, your body, and your life. Ready to tip over at any second, waiting to just try to do everything perfectly and then waiting for the next crash to happen, waiting to put out the next fire, waiting to help the next person, waiting to suffer the next consequence. You just want help. You just want to stop the inner dialogue, that inner hate speech that tells us if we were better or more, that we're never enough, that we're never enough for anyone around us, that we're never enough in our lives, our jobs, with our friends, with our families, that we're never doing enough, saying enough, being enough, perfect enough, pretty enough, rich enough, thin enough, 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 enough. You just want to live and thrive, not work and survive. This is the turning point in your life. This is the unique opportunity to go from building Disaster Fantasy Island, to building the apex self-first life. But first, you must choose. What is it Shakespeare says? To be or not to be. Because when we are living like this, we are creating a false world. We are creating Fantasy Disaster Island. And you know, if you're anything like me, I had built an entire reality out of Fantasy Disaster Island, where if I just did more for people, that I would get what I wanted. If I just helped them more, if I just did more for them, if I just listened to them, if I just spent more time with them, if I just worked more, if I just applied myself more to helping all of those around us. But I had to learn to choose to live self-first. To choose the superpower of my consciousness. You have to choose if you are going to use the superpower of your consciousness or not. Because that Fantasy Disaster Island that we're creating is a life built without consciousness, without constantly building that third aspect of our being. Let's talk about what consciousness is and how we're bringing in consciousness our entire life. You know, if you look at a baby comes in, can't do anything. That is human in its infant stage. And as consciousness comes in, the baby has to have the conscious thought of, I'm going to sit up. Now, the baby doesn't just sit up. The baby has to consciously think, I want to sit up. I'm going to sit up. I will sit up. And then overcomes that challenge to be able to sit up. And then the next challenge, to be able to crawl. And then the next challenge, to be able to walk. And then the next challenge, to be able to run. And then the next challenge, to be able to speak. But somewhere along the line, we took these challenges that were helping us to build our consciousness, that were so exciting. Yay! Look at little Johnny walk. Yay, I'm so proud of you. Look at you learning your ABCs. And then all of a sudden, our challenges became Disaster Fantasy Island, where we forgot how to apply our conscious mind to overcoming and strengthening our sense of being and our sense of purpose and the real meaning for our life through our consciousness. And instead, we decided that we could go it alone. We didn't need any new consciousness. We didn't need any new input. We didn't need any new challenges. They all became a negative for us to worry about and think about and agonize over as opposed to learning how to embrace them so that they would help us achieve an even higher level of ascension, an even higher level of our personal being. You must choose if you're going to grow or not. And I have to tell you, there is absolutely no judgment here at all. This is your unique choice. This is your free will. Are you going to understand and grow your consciousness? Which means having your problems in the right place underneath you instead of above you, crushing you. Right? You see that? When our problems are here, when our problems are there, when they're more important than us, when they're more important than our consciousness, they have no other option than to make us crash. By learning how to live this conscious apex life and synergy life, we learn how to put our problems in the right place. We learn how to put our challenges in the right place, where they can serve us and build our consciousness just like they did when we were babies and we went from lying down to sitting up to crawling to walking to standing to talking. We get to choose. We get to choose if we are going to be in love with our lives or not. Think about that baby. Yay! Everybody's so supportive. Because the baby is just thinking, I have this challenge. I'm going to bring my consciousness in and I'm going to handle the challenge. And so then everybody in the baby's life is supportive. Interesting, right? But at some point we think the challenge is the thing. The challenge isn't the thing. The challenge is the opportunity for us to grow as conscious beings, for us to recognize that the unique challenges in our lives are here to serve us, to help us lead our apex life, to help us discover a life where we can wake up in peace and in love with ourselves instead of with the inner hate speech, instead of with the constant worry, the constant challenge. Excited to grow our consciousness, just like we were excited to go from sitting to walking to standing to talking. Excited about each new opportunity. I'm not going to tell you that life is not filled with challenges. It is. This is how we grow our consciousness. But what I will tell you is that when you learn to put the challenges in the correct place, they don't affect you in that same negative emotional way. Let me give you an example. I was going to film this class yesterday, and I was all excited. I came downstairs to my studio. I put on my light. My husband helped me out. I was like, okay, I'm all set. And then everything blew up. The light stopped working. Now the old me, and maybe this is you, would have flipped out. Would have been, why does this happen to me all the time? Why is this always happening? Why won't the system work? Why can't I eat the right thing? Why can't I be the right weight? Why can't I do the right workout? But instead, when everything wasn't working, I thought, oh, okay, something's going on. Something's going on that is going to help me grow in my consciousness. And so we went out, we got a new light so that you could see me today. And that new light enabled my system to be set up in a different way. That new light enabled my microphone to be in a more centered place so you could hear me more clearly. that new light gave me that extra day to reflect on my slides so that I could teach you in a more concise and informative way. So it led me to a higher place in our being, where today I could give you a better product than I would have given you just yesterday. Because a challenge came into my life, but because I'm living the conscious apex life and synergy life, I was able to put the challenge in the right place, where it then served me and then serves you. Because I'm going to teach a better class today than I would have taught yesterday before that challenge came in. It changed the course of my direction. It changed the course of my life. And then that helped me to bring this to you, and maybe this will change the course of your life. This is what it means to choose to grow your consciousness. So you have the choice to create the peace on earth or not. Because peace truly begins with me. You know, I'd heard that my entire life, but I never really knew what it meant. Peace begins with me. The old me who was living in Disaster Fantasy Island, and you know, I was a professional. I had a whole condo complex built out there, a monorail, the whole, like it was fully fleshed out fantasy Disaster Island. I was spending all of my mental energy thinking about it, creating it, worrying about it. That Helena would have been completely sidelined by yesterday. And it would have led to a more frustrating experience instead of a positive experience. By being able to experience peace through my challenge yesterday, it helped me to bring you a more peaceful product today. A product more in synergy with myself and then in synergy with you. So you have this choice between creating, because you are going to continue to create. That's who you are. That's what humans do. Your pyramid of being will continue to produce creation. But you have to choose whether you are going to create Disaster Fantasy Island or you're going to learn how to choose conscious creation. And this is the amazing thing about choosing to build your consciousness. Everything gets easier. Because when I'm upright, I don't have to remake my world every day. I just have to mold the clay of the world that I'm already in. I don't have to change my entire life. I just have to mold the life that I've been given in my unique way. You know, there are almost 8 billion people on this planet, which means that there are 8 billion unique consciousness out there waiting to be developed. Imagine if each of us, just in one day, instead of being frustrated and angry and feeling defeated, for just one day, if we could all feel conscious. If we could all face whatever the challenge is in front of us, excited to walk and run. Instead of being defeated by it, instead of being worried by it, instead of being afraid of it. So the opportunity for you to be in command of your life and creating your apex life and synergy is within you. It's within your being already. It's your consciousness. We just have to learn to bring our consciousness into our mind and our consciousness into our bodies to be able to create our apex life. So how did I discover this choice, this all amazing to be or not to be? Well, I have to tell you, I was born to an abusive family. No, not just mental abuse where your mother picks on you, but literally physical abuse with really bad genetics. I always tell my doctor that they should call me Lee, last egg. There is not an aspect of my being that has not suffered in some way. Literally, you could ask me about my feet and I will tell you what happened to them. My knees, my back, my hips, my internal organs. I was born with a hole in my heart. I was born with asthma. I was born with all of these challenges. But I was also born with a unique conscious spark. And that conscious spark was a desire to know. And notice that know is the capital K-N-O-W. Not just to follow someone, but to test, to understand, to really learn, to become fluent in myself. To really understand how this whole life is supposed to work. So I had all of these discoveries along this journey, on my journey to really know, capital K-N-O-W, the Synergistic Fitness Method. Maybe you've experienced that. Where you'd walk into one of my studios and I'd say, oh, I got it. You don't like your fill in the blank. And people would look at me, Helene, are you psychic? No. I discovered how to bring my consciousness to body. So if you've experienced SFM, you'll know that I was always saying, think the muscle, not the exercise. The exercise is up here, right? Then the exercise is above us. Oh, if I just did that workout of that cute girl on Instagram, I would be great. Oh, if I just did the latest diet, I would be great. Oh, if I just did the latest whatever thing I saw on YouTube, I would be great. As opposed to, no, I'm just going to understand how to bring my consciousness to my communication with my body. And that's going to change how I look and feel. I discovered walking in water, how to bring my consciousness into every step that I took. I discovered how to bring my consciousness into nutritional alignment. You know what some people don't know about me is most of my family is obese. So the given in my equation is not to be at my ideal weight that brings me personal peace, joy, and happiness. I had to bring my consciousness into my nourishment center to learn how to eat, to sustain the being that I choose to be, that brings me peace and joy in my life. So I discovered all of these things. And then I was doing mind and synergy, bringing consciousness to mind and coaching my clients. And they started to experience amazing change. But then the huge challenge came in. What was that challenge? I got breast cancer. And in the 8 weeks that I was away from my business to really help myself, because the old Helena would be like, okay, I've got breast cancer. I'm going to go get surgery. I'm going to be back here in a week. But something clicked in that moment. No, I have got to go take care of myself first. And you know what happened? In that 8 weeks, my business closed. Sounds like a tragedy, doesn't it? In that 8 weeks, my revenues dropped 60%. You know, I've never not paid a bill in my entire life, ever. And when I logged into my computer after those 8 weeks, I realized I didn't have the money for rent. I have to tell you, that was probably one of the hardest phone calls I ever made, to call my landlord and say, I am so sorry, but I have no idea how I'm going to do this. But even that phone call, I made it from a self-first place, knowing I had to take care of myself. I had to live in truth. My truth was, I didn't know how I was going to pay rent. And then the most amazing thing happened. My landlord said, you know what? I completely understand. My wife had breast cancer. How can I help? By being self-first through this biggest tragedy in my life, I automatically got the right levels of support. And what I understood in that moment is that even though I discovered all these amazing things, I was still living in disaster fantasy island when it came to my business. I was still that insecure girl that was saying, oh, you know what? I'm not good enough. My family didn't even love me, so I have to put all of my clients above me. I have to put my business above me. I have to put my staff above me. I have to put everyone before me. Mentally, I was putting them all above me. And so then in this big crisis in my life, it all fell apart. But because I was living self-first in that moment, that became the greatest change in my life. Instead of being insecure and thinking I need this huge business in front of me to prove that I'm legitimate, I could just be me. I am enough. My knowledge is enough. And so then everything worked to support this decision, this very difficult decision that I had to make to close my business of 20 years, to let it go. Because it was not me, it was a function of Disaster Fantasy Island. I had created this pattern where I felt like I was doing for everyone else, but nobody was helping me out. Let me give you an example of that. I had an employee that I worked so intensely with. Even though she started as a client, even though she transitioned to being an employee, I still took time out of my week, every week, to work with her and help her. And she walked into my office on a Monday, and this is a couple of months before I got my diagnosis, and she said, Helena, I went to a party last weekend and I felt like I belonged. I felt like I finally made it. I felt like my body looked great. I was great. I had no insecurities. I felt amazing. And I said, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. You know what I need now? I need you to help me train the rest of the staff so that we're all feeling like this. Then we can really bring this huge gift to everyone in a more intense way. What do you think happened? Now remember, back then, I was living like this, where her success was more important than me, where her success is what I thought my product was, her success. She walked out the door and sent me a very formal one-line message. Effective immediately, I quit my job at Life and Synergy. Amazing, right? But who had put her up there? I had. Because of my insecurity, because, if your parents can't love you, then you're always looking for love. Are you going to love me? Are you going to love me? Are you going to love me? Instead of me discovering love of myself first, so that I could then allow true love into my life. True support into my life. Because I'm leading the way. Because I'm leading the way in living a conscious life. Not a life that just solves problems, a life that brings consciousness in and allows consciousness to come through creation and create my world and then the world around me. And this has led to this unexpected joy and fulfillment and a whole new level of success. Personally, I think for the first time in my 20-some years of marriage, I was able to finally see and hear my husband, so that my relationship got so much better. I was finally able to see and experience this amazing work that I've done. So my clients got so much more. You know, I just had been adding consciousness to exercise and my body. I'd been adding consciousness to eating. I'd already been doing this because I was on that search for the large KNOW. I had been adding consciousness to walking, but now I was ready to add consciousness to my mind. As I added consciousness to my mind, I added it to my life, and I added it to my creation. I had to learn how to build and develop this elusive part of my being. This part of our being that we can't see or taste or touch. How do I build my consciousness? So if you know me, you know that I went into deep dive research mode and spent the last 4 years studying, testing, going through each aspect of our Apex Life and Synergy to find the most direct path to building my consciousness to mind to body connection, to create my Apex Life, and then to be able to share it with all of you so that you can create your Apex Life, so that you could stop the inner hate speech, so that you could stop living in Disaster Fantasy Island. And that has enabled me to harness this energy and capability as much as I did with my muscles, my number, or walking, and express it into my life. And this has led to unbridled success for my clients. Maybe you had success learning how to apply consciousness to your eating, and now you eat your number. So going on a diet's not an issue for you. Or maybe you had success learning how to bring consciousness to your body, so being in love with your body is not an issue for you. But my clients who are on their Apex journey are now experiencing whole new lives. Lives where they are in command of themselves, command of their life, not living with the inner hate speech. They're finding the most amazing jobs that fulfill them, jobs that support them, jobs that really support their Apex Life, where they can explore their unique challenges, but in a positive way that helps them to continually grow their being and their consciousness. They've experienced new relationships within themselves, where they're actually learning to love themselves, and then external loving relationships, instead of attracting the same negative relationship, either with a friend or with a family member or with an interpersonal or personal relationship. How to really experiencing love of self first, and then attract that from the world around us. New understandings of themselves and their body. And as we lay out this Apex Life and Synergy journey and building consciousness, you'll see that it's so exciting because each level maps to our body and to our mind, so that there's always something new to learn. There's always a new exciting thing. There's always a new place to turn to that helps us to be more in love with ourselves, to create peace within, and then peace in our world around us. So they have these newfound abilities to shape and control their own lives and then the life that is around them. So what kind of life do you want to live? You know, you cannot do this work without truth and honesty. Do you want to live a life where you are aware that there will be challenges in your life, but you'll know where to put them? Or do you want to continue creating Disaster Fantasy Island? The choice is yours. You have the free will to be or not to be. So this is a class. And if you know me, you know I love to give homework. So before our next lesson on Saturday, I want you to do some creation homework. I want you to send me a list of things that you created today. Send it right to my email, Helena@Life in Synergy. What are some of the things you might have created? Your outfit, your lunch, your reactions, your feelings, your job, your friends, your family, big or small, they are all creations. So send me just a few things that you created in your day today. Because we have to, just like on Google Maps, we have to know where we're starting so that we know where we want to go. So what did you create in your day today? Did you create Disaster Fantasy Island? Did you create a new expectation that if you were only better or perfect or more? Or did you create something conscious? And I have to tell you, there is no right answer. There is only your answer. Your answer? There's only your answer. Because you are a unique aspect of this world. And through this work, we're going to unlock your superpower so that you can create your conscious apex life. So I want you to send me your homework, and our next lesson is going to happen on Saturday. And on Saturday, we are going to discuss the 3 aspects of our being and what each part is for, our consciousness, our mind, and our body, and what role each part of us plays in our life. We're going to build an instant awareness of our consciousness, separate from our mind, so that you could actually see your consciousness. You can experience your consciousness. Because once you experience it, then you'll really understand at a deeper level this whole other place of you that you need to grow or have the choice to grow. We're going to discuss the difference between self-first and selfish or selfless. And we're going to understand the math between those two and how the math works in those two and what it means to live the +1 life. And then we're going to get a glimpse of what your life in synergy will look like. What your life will be like when you're not waking up each day trying to create Fantasy Disaster Island and instead living your apex life. Okay, that's it for now. You may want to review this lesson and just listen to it. Not watch me, just listen to the audio, because that's going to help you absorb the information in a different way, in a different manner. And then send me just a list of a few things that you have created today, and we will discuss them on Saturday as we get to our next level in our next lesson in creating our apex life in synergy and unlocking your unique superpower, your consciousness. Okay, bye for now.